Hi, seventh grade parents. So I know curriculum night can be kind of busy, lots of information from lots of different teachers. So I thought it might be useful to just get some of this information out to you via video so that if you miss anything that night or you have any extra questions, you can review. And yeah, hopefully this helps. So welcome to Life Science in seventh grade. Last year, your children, their entire science curriculum was Earth Science. This year's biology. I love all science, but life science is kind of where my beginnings are as a scientist and now as a teacher. My history in science was in research, in tumor immunology, and just the biology of cells. So I'm always very enthusiastic about this subject. So what are your children going to be studying this year? So we're going to start simply with the scientific method and how to run an experiment and assess and analyze results and draw conclusions based on information. Maybe ask some great scientific questions to start. But when we get into the actual content of the class, we start with the cell. And that cell parts and processes, that's the structure and function of organelles, protein synthesis. We do a huge unit in genetics where they will be looking at traits as they are passed down to generations in their family, and we'll look at traits in just populations of organisms. We'll study DNA and DNA replication. There's protein synthesis. So that's one book, and then we'll move into a human anatomy book. And we'll study, that's when we do our heart dissection. We study cardiovascular system, respiratory, excretory, immune system. Yeah, so we try to fit all the body systems in there. And the purpose of this, honestly, is to prepare us for the very end of the class, which is comparative invertebrate and vertebrate anatomy. This is the year where we get to dissect. Yay! So sixth grade is kind of outdoor school. Seventh grade, everyone looks forward to dissections, and eighth grade, everyone looks forward to roller coasters. So we will dissect clam, earthworm, sea star, crayfish, fish, bullfrog, and fetal pig this year. Very exciting. I did turn the end of the year into a comparative anatomy course many years ago. It was just more meaningful to begin with a very simple organism and be able to study the body systems of something very simple and then see how that complexity increased to a multi-system mammal. I love to have volunteers. So many times for the bullfrog and the pig dissection, I can have 10, 15 parents in the room helping. You're always invited to come and help. So yeah, that's what we're studying. Very excited to get started. Supplies. They're all full of wonderful supplies right now, but these are the ones that when they run out or lose or don't bring to class, they really can affect how their enjoyment of the class and their success. The textbook is available on paper and iPad. I'd like them to have their paper textbook more so than their iPad, because that is where our iPads are used in class for a lot of things. And if they're reading their textbook on it while trying to work on a class discussion, that transfer back and forth can be challenging. So everyone has a paper textbook, but if they forget to bring their book home, you have that other option. Okay, their green binder, same green binder as science was green binder last year. The only difference this year is that the green binder in science is also a lab notebook. And when we talk about the grading of the course this year, you're going to see that lab notebook is an important piece. And since most of the class is going to be engaged in activities and projects, it's most important that this book, this binder, come with them to class every day. We stocked it with lined paper on last week. Maybe just Christmas break, stocking stuffer, give them some lined paper and pens. Pen or pencil, doesn't matter to me. I like to have blue or black pen and then something to correct with. I'm not picky about the color. Stylus. They won't be taking a lot of notes in my class, but a stylus does come in handy. I do understand that they can be expensive, and seventh graders lose things some 7th graders lose things, so maybe you don't want to invest in some expensive pen, but a stylus can be helpful. Headphones are non-negotiable. They have to have headphones. They'll never be listening to the videos in class, but we do a lot of recording of information that they will be recording, stop motion videos on protein synthesis. They will be recording one another, doing scientific experiments, and the editing process is so much more peaceful when they have headphones in. So if you could purchase a set of headphones they can keep at school, that would be great. Assignment notebook, that is something that is, homework assignments are written on my science lab board, and they're also written on their homeroom board. Mr. Exley has a second section that is homework for all of their classes. So there's no way they should not have access to their homework. So by the 7th grade, we're hoping that they get it all written down and ready to go. Let's talk here. So flipped lessons, not going to talk much about this. There is a video. Your children have already watched it. It was part of their homework last week. So if you haven't seen it, it is very useful information. You'll know a lot of what's coming home and why it's coming home the way it is if you take a look at this flipped lesson on YouTube. Grading. I spent a lot of time last week talking to children about grading and the differences and sharing my thoughts and also get input. PowerSchool, that's where our grades are posted. It's going to be updated each week. And I know that we're talking to you tonight about that, and we really want you to be looking towards getting this app on your phone or just having it someplace where you just actively look at it, not every day, but maybe look at it with your child once a week would be very helpful. The grading looks a little different this year. Labs are worth 50% of their overall grade. If most of the time in class is going to be spent doing labs, and this is really labs and projects, so if most of their time spent in class is doing labs and projects, then it really does have to be it is only fair that it is more of their overall grade. Importantly, it's not one punctuated lab grade at the end of a lab. They're not just going to hand me a lab report and that lab report is going to be 50% of their grade. I am grading and looking at the process of science, not just the end result. The most important part is, can they follow the process? Do they understand the importance of scientific observations and asking great questions? When you ask great questions, how do you research those questions? And when you've researched them, how do you formulate a hypothesis, a testable hypothesis? And when you have a testable hypothesis, how do you test it? And when you test it, how do you analyze results? And then how do you draw conclusions that help answer the original question that you asked? That's what I'm grading. They will hand in lab reports, but they will also hand in their procedures throughout their whole lab experience. Participation. What used to be 5 or 10% is now 30% of their overall grade. This is a number of different things. Participation is not just a check mark of how many times they raise their hand in class. They're not going to be raising their hand in class often because they're going to be working with their groups. So participation is number one. It's going to be their post-lecture quizzes. These are 3 to 5 points each, and they will not always be written quizzes. I'm going to use tech like Kahoot and Socrative to kind of help guide these quizzes. And why I'm going to use those because then I get instant results. So then the lectures and what students have gathered from the lectures help guide the day's lesson. So that's part of their participation grade. Also group discussion. So when they watch a lecture and then they come into the class and there are discussion questions or a review and reinforce or an application worksheet to work on, how do they participate in that? And then other opportunities for larger group discussions. So participation, 30%. Lab quizzes, small group discussion, large group class discussion. Tests and quizzes, those are other than the lecture quizzes. So they will have chapter tests. If a chapter is really long. I will break it up. Protein synthesis comes with its own separate quiz because it's part of an enormous chapter. I don't quite understand why they did it this way, but it does really need to be broken up. So tests and quizzes, everything other than lecture quizzes. Hope that makes sense. A little bit different than last year, but I'm so excited about coming up with an assessment strategy that really fits how the class is being taught this year. So thank you. Please contact me with questions. Your students, your children had wonderful feedback, and I appreciate anything, any feedback you would have to give. So computer science. Yes, we'll still be doing computer science. So excited about this. It was wonderful last year. 7th grade students were using Scratch, Code.org, Khan Academy to learn programming. And we'll be learning programming will be connected to our makerspace this year. So in our makerspace we have Arduinos, Makey-Makeys, Bear Conductive, Pico boards, digital sandboxes. All of these things connect to the computer, and then students are able to interact with and program these sensors through the computer. It's awesome. It really does allow them to see what the actual codes look like and to play around with them and change them and see what happens when you do. So you'll see a lot of that coming home. There are lessons that are both on and off device to help teach those critical thinking skills and collaboration. So other science opportunities, yes, we will still have our science fair. We have our BPA Science Bowl. Listen for that information. That is a quiz show competition at the end of January. You'll be getting information about that first week of October. We're going to be joining the Oregon Game Project Challenge again. This is gaming for social change, where students create online games using Scratch that solve a social challenge. So it's not just a gaming for fun, but using gaming for social change. And we're looking at joining the Verizon App Challenge again. So lots of great science opportunities other than the things that are happening in the class. Please contact me with questions. My email address is available on our website, on this video, a number of different places. I also, as of today, I made a blog that will also house my videos along with YouTube. So the blog will have videos, the lecture notes, everything will be there. So if your child forgets to bring their stuff home or can't log on to YouTube, they can easily find this Northwest Science in the Making at blogspot.com. So thank you very much. Again, it's more than 10 minutes. Oh, parent videos, always so long. So hope you enjoyed Curriculum Night and that this really does help fill in some of the blanks that I couldn't get to.